He was the right guy, it was the right time, and it was a fucking incredible time to be a wrestling fan. I'm Charles Rethlin with my review of WWE Untold Goldberg Streak. I was 16 years old when Goldberg made his debut on September 22nd, 1997, the same night that Stone Cold Steve Austin stunned Vince McMahon in Madison Square Garden, and Cactus Jack made his Madison Square Garden debut. Everybody knew who he was, Kevin Dunn, you fucking idiot, and he faced off against Triple H. And it was really cool. You got to see Goldberg debut on the same night that big event happened. He beat Bill DeMott, Hugh Morris, and that was, the start of the infamous streak. Which I gotta say right now, the whole 173, 174, 170,000 and all was fucking bullshit. Goddamn bullshit. But you know what? I believed it. So many other fans believed it, and it got WCW so much mainstream attention. And they really didn't know what they had at first, because the streak wasn't, even fully realized until, about, I'd say, right after the William Regal match in February of 98. He was doing some really good stuff as far as short, intense matches, because he was a former football player. He had that incredible look, that just impactful offense. Spear, jackhammer, clotheslines, the intense look. I can't do it like Goldberg because nobody is in shape like Goldberg was. And that just summarized just how much lightning in a bottle they caught with Goldberg. And that's what he was. He was lightning in a bottle. And he was a goddamn freight train that they rode and they kept riding as WWE was rising up. Goldberg kept them neck and neck and sometimes ahead of WWE in the ratings. He was the guy. As the whole NWO thing kept going and going and going, because we couldn't have it end at Starrcade 97, which is one event that they fucked up, and then they would fuck it up even more at the next Starrcade. They rode that train. He was in mainstream, doing mainstream media appearances. He was doing a lot of great stuff. And they rode that freight train, and then at Starrcade 98, it hit the frickin' bridge that exploded, and it fell off into the goddamn river, goddamn lake, whatever. It was done. Then the finger poke of doom, and Goldberg was never the same. Now, I gotta say this much. The streak should have ended at some point. The streak was there to camouflage Goldberg's weaknesses, that he was not a wrestler. He was an ass kicker, and that's all he was. Doing short matches was not the worst thing for him, because, as the Regal match showed, he was exposed as being somebody that didn't really know what he was doing, and keeping it short and sweet hid any of his weaknesses. And he got to do a whole lot of great charity for kids and a whole bunch of stuff for animals, and we get more of a look at Goldberg behind the scenes. We get to hear from Kevin Nash, we get to hear from DDP, we get to hear 2003 audio from Eric Bischoff from the Monday Night War documentary. You had him there sometime last year when he was executive director, producer, whatever, of SmackDown and didn't do anything. They had him move to Connecticut and then sent him packing a couple months later. Great company there, but they could have just had him do Skype calls or something like that. He has a podcast, pay him a few grand, and just have him send in new audio. No, let's just use the old audio. It was cool to see new footage of DDP and Nash talking. And Nash was pretty open about something that I actually didn't know about Starrcade 98. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But Goldberg, I'm not going to go through everything minute detail, but this was a pretty good look at Goldberg, who, I admit, after 99, really, once WCW ended, he was on borrowed time as far as being an impactful figure in wrestling. Now, yes, the short burst, the WWE run in 2003, 2004 had its moments. When he came back and beat Lesnar in 86 seconds at Survivor Series 2016, that was cool. He made other appearances between that as far as, for MMA or wrestling, and I get it. And he had that look, and he was also in movies. Santa's sleigh. But you know what? He got to meet his wife there, and that's great. They seem happy together, and they have a kid, and that's fantastic. Goldberg, the person, the man, the father, he seems fine. And he understands what he is, and he knows his worth, and he's earned a lot of goddamn money doing basically the same shit. But you know what? It works. As long as you don't leave him out there too goddamn long. But anyway, he says, I didn't invent the squash match, but I invented my own type of squash match. And you wanted to look. If you said you didn't want to watch, you were lying. And I admit, even as somebody that is still mad about what happened at Starrcade 99, even though Goldberg admits that he feels bad for ending Bret Hart's career or effectively shortening it, having him go back out there, having Bret Hart go back out there and continuing to wrestle and get multiple concussions was all on WCW. That wasn't Goldberg. That he's going to have to carry that with him, and he feels bad. So, okay, it's still a stupid move because Goldberg was a klutz, in addition to being a goddamn Clydesdale horse, as Bret Hart would say. But he did invent his own type of squash match and had a really, really good look and had that fucking uncoachable intensity I talked about. He talks about his family's history in football, 2 older brothers. All he wanted to do is play football. But you see footage of Goldberg in 88 talking about, is football worth it? So funny to see that, just how long ago 88 was. I was 7 years old. I'm going to be 40 in January. It's just, where does the time go? Oh, well, and time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. So he says, I was able to hit someone. It was the best feeling in my life. You know, it's worth it. Is the pain worth it? It's absolutely worth it, he says in this old footage. And abdomen muscle ripped off the pelvis, completely ripped off. That was the beginning of the end of his career. He had to have a plan B, and he didn't have a plan B. And we see the gym training, Bagwell, Sting, and Luger kind of making fun of him, and he basically says, blow it out your ass, because he is a sensitive guy, and I don't blame him. He took himself seriously, sometimes too seriously, but you know, now that a lot of wrestlers don't take themselves seriously, I'm finding to have a little bit of, you know, admiration for him taking his character as seriously as he did. Still should have probably worked with Jericho a little bit more back when Jericho actually had something and wasn't the overbloated orange, you know, out of shape fuck that he is now. But anyway, I digress. DDP went, you know, Matt Goldberg at a gentleman's club, shall we say, and said, well, you need to do this. You have a great look. Now, he had hair at the time. Then he shaved his hair off. Goldberg wanted to be different. It was the bald look actually worked. Yes, he looked like Austin, but you know what? Goldberg was totally different than Austin, because Austin could actually wrestle. Even with a bad neck, he could wrestle. Goldberg couldn't. The Masked Assassin, Joseph Jody Hamilton, who, you know, he had, I think he had like an injury that knocked him out, like, of wrestling after, I think, 30 years. But he did a lot of training and everything. He's still alive, 82 years old. Good on him. Sarge's training, he, you know, we see footage of that. We see Goldberg saying, I was going to be a Bruiser Brody, Mike Tyson, with Goldberg, the person times 5, you know, a mashup of that. Okay. Yeah, no, you weren't Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody had better matches, Goldberg. And Manny Fernandez was doing the training. He says, Manny, spread your legs, tuck your chin, and kiss your ass goodbye. Hits the spear. So the spear was the setup. And then he came up with the jackhammer. DDP talks about Goldberg being the originator of the spear, and yeah, he had other people did the spear, but I will say Goldberg's spear is right up there, if not the best, because he hit you like a goddamn freight train. And then the voiceover stuff from Bischoff just in 03 was absolutely jarring. Nash talks about WCW, how they were king in 97. We were the 69 Mets. We had that one good year. They actually had a few good years. He gives them too little credit. By 99, it was fucking done. They lost $15 million and $62 million in 2000. Thanks, Russo. But, you know, the streak starts. He beats Hugh Morris. And then the actual numbers are bullshit. I think it was more like 100, 105 and 0 and stuff like that. But they kept inflating him because, okay, at the time that Goldberg, I'm just going to come up with an example. Goldberg had, you know, Goldberg, like, you know, wrestled on Nitro. Okay, he wrestled on Nitro, but at the time, Thunder didn't come along till January of 98. He didn't wrestle on Halloween Havoc. He debuted after Fall Brawl, so he didn't wrestle on Halloween Havoc or World War III. He wrestled Steve Mongo McMichael at Starrcade 97, I recall. Now, had he been on every single pay-per-view, from Halloween Havoc till Starrcade, you know, Halloween Havoc 97 till Starrcade 98, he would have had, what, 14, 15 wins? Nitro, he would have done that if he had wrestled on every single Nitro. He would have had 50, he would have had, what, 55 win? No, 56, 57, something like that. You know, I mean, I'm trying to, like, think the numbers in my head. Maybe he would have had 60. Okay? He would have had something like that. Cool. Okay, so right there, we're at about 76. Had he wrestled on every single Thunder, he would have had, what, another 40? Had he wrestled on the house shows, you think they were running enough house shows where he was wrestling on every single one? So no, it's probably more like, it might have been 110 and 0. But you know what? I believed it, everybody else believed it, and it got WCW attention. Goldberg's entrance and the evolution of his character. His character is basically, he was just an ass kicker, and that was it. And that's all he needed to be. For a time. And I'm not knocking Goldberg. He did what he did, and he made a lot of money doing it, and still does. God forbid they're going to have him take on Roman Reigns. It's going to be a dumpster fire. But the streak added to his character. The Regal match, which got Regal fired. And then he became the real man's man, and then went back to WCW because he had his drug issues, which he fortunately got clean from. And I'm very happy for Regal. DDP said to Bischoff, bro, don't let anyone fuck this up. Oh, they fucked it up. And then Nash called the streak number being bullshit, which he's right. He is right. Nash tore his quad saying it, kid. Love Nash. Imagine how he would have been on two good legs. He recently got his other leg fixed because he had a bad displacement or something like that. He beats up Raven's Flock. Goldberg does, including Reese, the former Yeti, super giant ninja. Big guy, wins the U.S. title. Streak continued. Caused some heat. He didn't feel like he belonged. And he was watching Thunder, and he found out 4 days in advance that he was going to take on Hogan in the Georgia Dome. Now, that's where he played, the Atlanta Falcons, all that stuff. He was nervous. He was nervous in that match against Scott Hall. He had nerves. Hogan had icy hot on him. He's laughing about it now, but he says at the time he couldn't really see it. And he's like, yeah, it's a funny story now. He beats Hogan. His teammates were there to celebrate with him. That was a cool emotional moment. You could tell it meant a lot to Goldberg, and that was cool. And then Goldberg was everywhere, literally everywhere. NASCAR events, all that stuff. I hope that was champagne he was spraying on them. It was on a credit card. He was just doing all this stuff. Goldberg action figures, doing stuff with kids. Great charities with kids and animals. He seems like a genuinely good guy outside of wrestling. He really does. And he's done a lot of good stuff with his fame and with his fortune. And that's fantastic. And he seems like a good family man. Then the DDP Goldberg Halloween Havoc match. The best match of his career. He says, there's no better human than DDP. Mark Madden would disagree, but Mark Madden's not even human. So fuck that guy. And fuck his mother for giving birth to him. And it's a good thing that his mother's not around to see what a shameful human being Mark Madden is. Anyway, so the crowd was booing Goldberg more and more here. They were starting to get annoyed. Goldberg speared himself. First, he hit the ring post and destroyed his shoulder, which actually would lead to complications, and he would end up needing, therapy and stuff like that, and would eventually need shoulder surgery in January 2001, which is why they wrote him off by having him lose and leave WCW in a career-ending match. And then they were going to have him come back. WCW was gone within 2 months after that, though. The one thing about it, though, Goldberg speared himself. He spiked himself because his head hit before DDP did. And then he couldn't really do anything. DDP doing the Diamond Cutter. One of the biggest pops of the night. And I'm going to say this, controversial. If they had ended the streak right there, if DDP had beat Goldberg, that would have been great. And I hate to say it, but DDP should have been the one to beat Goldberg because that would have been the right call. Because then you could have had it where, okay, yes, he had this streak of 155-0, something like that. You could have had DDP win. Would have launched DDP into the goddamn stratosphere. His first win wouldn't have come in the Tacoma Dome, which is an event I wasn't able to go to, Spring Stampede 99, but we wouldn't have gotten that accolade. But hey, it is what it is. DDP would have actually been better off beating Goldberg here instead of Nash. But, he was totally knocked out. Goldberg had no idea what he was doing. He was just going on autopilot. Says I woke up as I was jackhammering him, and DDP was like, well, it's okay. I mean, that happens. He's like, God damn it, Bill. But then he realized he was knocked out. He's like, well, can't really do anything. I think DDP should have won. Do you think DDP should have broken the streak? Answers in the comments, please. And then Nash, how are you going to get something out of this character? And that's fair because eventually you have to lose. You have to evolve. It didn't. The character got stale. They wrote it for a while. Maybe the streak shouldn't have ended at Starrcade 98. They should have ended better than they did. But the Starrcade 98 match and Nash's armbar got Goldberg upset. Nash talks about the finish. Yeah, let's have Disco run in for absolutely no reason. Let's have Bam Bam Bigelow run in. Is the clown car next? And then, truth be told, the cattle prod was not the first finish. The original finish was going to be one of the tasers that shoots out and does something like that, and Goldberg is going to be taken down. The problem is you can't gimmick something like that, and if you try to gimmick something like that, it's not going to work. DDP says, well, you can't do that when it's used to take down a 1,200 or 2,000 pound animal. And then it was Goldberg's birthday, so he loses a streak. Streak's done. Nash wins the world title. Goldberg's birthday, but also the anniversary of Nash's mom passing away from cancer in 94, right after Christmas, shortly after he won the WWE Championship. So at least she got to see her son as champion, and that's cool. Terrible. Cancer's a goddamn bitch. Nash was emotional about that. Can't blame him. That's terrible to watch a family member, somebody you love and care about deeply, pass away from that terrible illness. And then Nash wasn't booking at the time. He says maybe Bischoff and Hogan were just drinking beers and said, yeah, we'll do that. And then Goldberg with, being good with kids and all that and the accolades and the fact that he's still wrestling even now, even though he shouldn't be, Because he can't really he couldn't wrestle then in his prime, and he can't wrestle now at all. Can't lift a Fiend, can't do anything. But that being said, Goldberg, he has done a lot of good with his fame. I will give him that much credit. But the streak was fucking bullshit. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I can go back and watch some of that stuff and have a lot of nostalgia. But you can only ride the edge of a lightning bolt, have lightning in the bottle so goddamn long, you can't recapture that. They tried to. They ended it badly. They did the finger poke of doom. And Goldberg was just done after that. And they did like a ladder taser match, at Sold Out 99, which was a goddamn bad. I think it was a Sold Out 99. Sold Out 99, or it was Fall Brawl, or no, not Fall Brawl, Super Brawl 99. Yeah, they didn't end the streak all that great. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought of Goldberg's streak in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.